Fierce fighting is taking place on many sections of the front, extending in total over 2,000 kilometers. The Ukrainian armed forces are successful in several directions in the Kharkiv, Donetsk and Kherson oblasts. Whatever happens this week in Russia, whatever steps this terrorist government in the Kremlin is planning, political or military, the task of our state, the task of Ukraine, cannot be changed. We'd fight for life and freedom for all Ukrainians. Criminal mobilization is used by Russia not only to prolong the suffering of people in Ukraine and further destabilize the world, but also to physically eliminate men living in territories temporarily controlled by the Russian Federation. The situation in the occupied Crimea is catastrophic. The information about the Crimean Tatars is fully confirmed. Most of the mobilization was directed there. This is another element of Russian genocidal policy, another reason for the immediate and harsh reaction of the whole world. This is a calculated imperial policy. It is a blow to the peoples of, for example, Dagestan and the entire Caucasus, to the indigenous peoples of Siberia and other territories. The occupation authorities announced a turnout in pseudo-referenda in the Ukrainian territories occupied by Russia regarding administrative affiliation to Russia. In the self-proclaimed so-called Luhansk and Donetsk republics, it was around 50%. In the Kherson Oblast, about 32%, and in the Zaporizhia Oblast, approximately 35%. The enemy is trying to hold an illegal referendum in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. In the villages of the Zaporizhia Oblast, representatives of the occupation authorities go from house to house with armed Russian soldiers, forcing inhabitants to vote. This tactic is also aimed at a census of men. In recent days, Russian troops have reduced the number of missile attacks on Ukraine, but have started striking with Iranian kamikaze drones more often. In this way, raids were carried out on villages in the Kharkiv, Mykolaiv and Odessa oblasts. Ukrainian armed forces shoot down drones using all available methods and are looking for the most effective ones. The enemy uses a new tactic. The missiles are probably held by the Russians for the winter period to destroy the city's infrastructure and, as they say, plunge Ukraine into darkness. Therefore, now they use much cheaper Iranian-guided drones, repainted and with Russian inscriptions. Our information shows that Russia has received several hundred such drones. Tonight, the vicinity of Odessa was again attacked by kamikaze drones. They hit military depots. The bottom line is that there were no dead. Due to the ammunition detonation, a large fire broke out, which was put out relatively quickly. The evacuation of the population was organized immediately. The military is now working on methods of defense against such drones. Today in Vienna, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, reiterated his call for the creation of a safety zone around the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant in Enerhodar. If something happens there, it won't be a natural disaster. We will blame ourselves for our own inaction because we knew what to do and we have a plan to do it. Last week, I started consultations with Ukraine and the Russian Federation on the urgent establishment of a nuclear safety zone around the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. It is possible. It has to be done. And I am ready to continue these consultations in both countries this week. Rafael Grossi discussed nuclear safety at a meeting with the United States Deputy Secretary of State for Arms Control and International Security, Bonnie Jenkins. In addition to the Zaporizhia power plant, the Chernobyl power plant was at risk at the beginning of the invasion, and a week ago, a missile fell in the vicinity of another nuclear power plant in Pevdon-Donetsk. Experts are convinced that attacks on nuclear power plants are Himalayas of irresponsibility.